start of the live stream. I was just finishing like my notes about everything I want to discuss with you or tell you about, and I wanted to have it properly prepared, so sorry for that. I also needed my coffee. That today's topic is kind of sad and scary, but it's normal. It's about your immigration advisor or your visa people or however we call it, ghosting you, stopping replying your messages, and like generally just letting you hang in unknown. I've seen a lot of posts about that recently on Facebook, so that's why I decided to do this live stream. But the truth is that this is not like a new thing. We've been in a business for 12 years and this has always been happening. This is like a standard, this is a constant thing in Czech immigration, that there are companies that pop up and then disappear half a year later. And I will explain in today's video why is it so? So what's the reason why this is constantly happening? Second thing is how you can prevent that. Even though when you're watching this video, you probably haven't prevented that yet, but maybe you are just thinking about moving here, or maybe you know someone to whom this might help. And then the third thing or third part of this video will be what to do if you are already in the situation that your visa people ghosted you, you don't know what to do. So I will give you the answer what to do and how to prepare the best for that. Let me get this closer and let's start. So I'll cover these three topics. Why is it happening? How to prevent it? What to do if you're already in the situation? Again, this is not a new thing in Czech immigration. It's been happening at least the whole 12 years we've been in the business, and that's because the same pattern is repeating itself again and again. And the pattern is usually how it starts, like how these companies start, is that's either a person, one foreigner who went through their own immigration process, they did it themselves, or it's a couple where one of them is maybe Czech, the other one is a foreigner, and they did the partnership visa or whatever type of visa for themselves. And now these kind of people think that this is what they should be doing as a job or as a business, and that they should give advice to others. Usually there is a good motivation, as far as I can tell, because they want to share their experience. Maybe they want to prevent other people from doing the same mistakes as they did, or they just like, I don't know, they want to help genuinely. But usually it's this. I'm sorry, I just got a bit distracted because I saw a couple comments there, so I just looked there and I lost the train. So I'll try to get back there. So the standard scenario is that one person who did visa for themselves or a couple who did visas for themselves decide to give advice about relocation and immigration and visas and everything. It might have some advantages for you as their potential client, and one of the advantages is that they might be very enthusiastic, because it's usually there is a like really nice motivation that they want to help people, they want them to not go through the same complicated process as they had to go, so they might be very enthusiastic about that. Usually they also don't know what to charge for the service, because they have no idea how complex it all is. So they usually also start with very low prices, which might also be an advantage for you if you're looking just for the price. The disadvantages might not be that obvious, but that's why I'm talking about it now. Because the thing is, if it's just one person or two people, what happens if they get sick? You know, if you've been in the middle of the immigration process with them and then they got sick, like what happens? There is no one to take over the case. What if they want to go for vacation for a week or for two during the summer season or whenever? What happens with your case? You know, if there is just one person or two people taking care of everything, like you risk a lot because you never know if something happens, if there is some, or you know that if something happens, there is no one to take over the case and like have you covered. So that's kind of the main disadvantage, that there is no replaceability So if they get sick or if they want to go for a holiday or something, that will definitely influence your case. There are other things as well. The thing is that if they want to do it full time as a business, they need to take enough clients to like support themselves, to earn the rent and the mortgage or whatever they're paying. And this might be okay, like if the people only accepted the amount of cases they can handle, that would be fine. And you can have all the benefits I mentioned before. But usually they want to go for a holiday, or usually something happens, like their kids get sick, or they get sick, or something, or something, and then they need to start, or the mortgage increase, or whatever, and then they need to start accepting more clients than they can handle, and that's where the problem starts, because I think starting a business in any field might be difficult, but in this field you need to constantly be checking like all the news in immigration, and it's also a business where even though there is a law, the concrete outcome and actually how the process goes depends not only on the law but also on the mood of the officer who's dealing with your case. So like it doesn't mean that if you apply for business visa 100 times that it will go 100 times the same way, as it should by the law, because there are some deadlines, there are some required documents, everything is kind of given in the law. But if you have 100 cases of a business visa, chances are you will have like 80 different scenarios, 80 different like approval times, 80 different like ways how the case goes, how much of hard time they give to people. Depends on many factors, like your nationality, the season, your business story, all that. So that's one thing also you need to take into consideration if you're in this business, that you need to constantly be on top of things, and you need to know the internal procedures of the Ministry of the Interior, and that takes time. And if you add to it that if you have no background in this and you're just starting the business, you will definitely get denials. That's part of that. I'm not saying that's like it's bad, but I'm not saying it as a disadvantage at this point. I'm saying it because it brings additional stress to them, because they want to help people, and now like 5 of their clients have been denied. Okay, what they will do with it? And it hurts kind of it makes it difficult. Plus, then you need to make some appeal or submit the application again, and then you still need to keep getting new clients. So usually what happens is that these people burn out. So at some point they say, hey, well, we just cannot do this anymore, and they leave. Sometimes they might communicate it well, like saying, hey, I know your case is in the process, we try to finish it as much as we can, but we're quitting the business, whatever. If you're lucky, that goes like this, and it might still be fine. But in many cases, they just disappear. And then you never hear from them, and you never get your documents back, and you don't know what to do. You're left completely in the blank. We've actually got many clients in those years this way, and some of them even being companies, not just like private people, but even companies that had a couple employees in the process, and then their visa person disappeared. So good for us, not complaining about that, but not really good for you. Not really good for the market either, because then if this keeps happening, people will try to do visas on their own, which might work out, but I generally don't recommend it, because it's a very specific field, and if you don't have the experience, don't have the knowledge, you never know the outcome. So this is what usually happens. Now, how to prevent it? Again, well, if you're happy with your visa advisor, with your immigration people, that's great. Stick to that. Maybe just you can share this video or spread the information I'll be sharing, so people can prevent this from happening. That would be actually the best. If you're already in the situation that this happened to you, I will get to what to do in a second. But if we want to prevent this, I think the only way to do it is to do a proper research. But by proper research, I don't mean only checking the reviews and if it's 4 stars or 5 stars or how many reviews they have. Reviews are important. You can often get some important information from there, and it can generally show the quality of the service. If some company has the same amount of reviews and 3 stars and another company has the same amount of reviews and 5 stars, probably says something about the difference in the quality. But reviews are also kind of tricky, I would say, because there are fake reviews on the good side, like posting positive reviews that never happened, or the negative side, someone trying to influence your rate there and posting just some made up reviews, and it's very difficult to get rid of those. So reviews are good, but that's not the only thing I would consider. One thing to consider definitely is how many people are in the team, because I've checked some websites and there is not even like mentioned anything about the team. Like there is no section where you can actually find out who will be helping you, which is a bit weird in my opinion. Also, if you see just 1 or 2 people, that's everything I was talking about. I'm not saying everyone is like that. I know some advisors who've been here for a very long time and they do good job, even though they're just 2 or 3. But generally speaking, I would be cautious if you see that there is no team mentioned or there is 1 person or maybe 2 people in the team. Another thing is very important, check if the company has an actual office. You know, when we were starting 12 years ago, it wasn't that weird that you didn't have an office. Now I find it very weird. And even then, kind of, do you want your passport being like destroyed by a hamster or by a rabbit because the immigration people have all your documents at home because they don't have an office? So that would be definitely another thing, because if you want to do it as a business, if you would take this seriously, you should have an office. You should have a space where the documents of clients, because we work with like original passport, we work with original marriage certificates, diplomas, birth certificates, all that. And you should have a safe place to store it. You should have some insurance to cover if something happens, because things can happen, like buildings can get on fire, or like there can be a leak, a water leak or whatever, water damage. But if you are insured, that's also something else than if you just have all the important documents of your clients at home and if you meet with them in Starbucks. So that would be second thing to check, if they have some people in the team and how many. Second, if they have some physical office, some real location where you can go and see what's going on. Another thing, the last one probably, I would check their business number just to see who's behind the business. Okay, because first of all, I've seen this as well. It's officially mandatory if you run a website which earns money, which is a business website. Doesn't matter if it's service or if you sell something, but you have a website from which or through which you are getting paid in some form, then you must mention your business name and business address and all these like kind of information on the website. I've seen websites which don't have it, which is already breaking the law, either doing it on purpose for whatever reason, or just not being aware of that, which is not saying equally bad, but it's a similar situation. But if they already have the business number there, which they should have by the law, check if it's just a trade license. So because if it's just or if it's a company like SRO company, limited liability company, because if it's just a trade license, chances are it's just 1 person or 2 people. Because if you're like a company, if you employ people, you can technically do it under the trade license, but it does not really make sense if you grow and if you want to run a real, how to say, serious business. So I would check that as well. If you see that it's just a trade license and one person, again, everything I was talking about in advance, the pros and cons of that. Yeah, so that was how to ideally avoid that, doing a thorough research, not just reviews, but checking how many people are in the team, if they have any office, and who is the owner, or like what is the business entity they're running this under. And now if you're already in the situation that you got ghosted, which is the worst situation, and I'm sorry that you experienced that, but if you're already there, what to do? First thing is, don't wait too long. Probably makes no sense if you don't hear from them for 3 days, then like immediately start panicking and looking for other solution. But if you have emailed them maybe a couple times, if you have called them, if you went to the office, sorry, and still no word, you still cannot get in touch. If it's been a week or maybe 2, then that's probably the right time to start looking for some other solution. Because imagine it's 1 person or 2 people, so they got sick, they couldn't work for a week. If they get COVID or like a bad flu, you cannot really like do anything. So for 1 week they were not able to do anything, and then the next week they open their email and there is like 500 emails, maybe less, but whatever, waiting for them. And they maybe start like replying everything and they will get back to you at some point. So it's not, if you haven't heard from them for a couple days or a week, definitely not a good service, but it doesn't mean that they are ghosting you. But if it's been 2 weeks, that's probably the right time to start looking for a new solution. So the first step would be probably going to the previous topic, like to make sure that the next advisor you choose will be better than this one. Because it makes no sense to like do the same mistake, go from one company to another which is exactly the same, and the same thing will happen to you there as well. So that would be probably the first thing, to do a research. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to move your case? Second, that's probably, if you have already decided to contact someone, that's probably their job. But the thing is that the first step would be evaluating your situation, because there will be a very big difference between like cases. If you hired someone just for changing your address or reporting the marriage, like the change of your marital status to the ministry, if someone ghosted you, that's not much of a deal, much of a big deal, or not such a big deal. Yeah, this is decaf, so it doesn't work here. It's not such a big deal. Of course it is, because you are in unknown, you don't know what's happening with your documents. It doesn't feel good, and you're stressed and you don't know what to do. So of course, like it's from this perspective, it's bad, but it's not directly threatening your stay in the Czech Republic. If you have a valid visa, if you are here legally, if it still has some time to expiration, and you just want to update the ministry with some changes, that sucks that you got ghosted, but it will not really influence your resident status here. So you can approach it differently, approach the situation differently. On the other hand, if you're in the middle of extension, or you just applied for the application and then you get ghosted, that might be a bit more serious situation, especially if the ministry, for example, sent you some documents and you just have some amount of time to deliver them to the ministry. That might be pretty tricky. Also, if the other immigration person has your power of attorney, then if the ministry needed something, they would not be contacting you, but they would be contacting them, and the information would never get back to you. So the first step after finding a new advisor would be evaluating your situation and getting as many information or as much information about your situation and your case as possible. So that's kind of related to something you should be doing when you are still not being ghosted, and that's having copies of everything, of all the documents you submitted to the ministry, and also all the documents you received from the ministry. Because if someone comes to us, first of all, it's very difficult to take over cases which were started with someone else. We do it because we don't want to like let you hang in the unknown, and we want to help as many people as possible. So we usually accept such cases, but not always, because it's very difficult, because we don't know what happened before. We don't know what mess you are in. And sometimes you might be in a situation which is not fixable, or we cannot fix it. And then even though we will do our best, you might still associate the bad outcome with us, which kind of is not really good. The thing is that we don't know what happened before. We don't know what documents were submitted. We don't know what was the kind of story the previous person was trying to tell to the ministry, because it's not about just like giving them the documents, but it also depends. Like if you, for example, take this, if you submit your lease agreement as the proof of accommodation, or if you submit the proof of accommodation form as a proof of accommodation, that can influence your residence permit significantly. It can be a difference between being approved and being denied, because for example, for business residence permits or family reunification, where the main applicant is a business owner or a freelancer, then your income or how much you need to be making is influenced by your rent. And if the ministry knows your rent, they will calculate with your real rent. If they don't know your rent, they will calculate with some general amounts. And there can be like very big difference in that. Let's say you live in a shared apartment, you pay 10,000 crowns, but you don't submit your lease agreement as the proof of accommodation. So at this point, the ministry doesn't know that you're paying only 10,000 crowns, and they will calculate with 17 as your accommodation cost. So there is a 7,000 crowns a month difference. So you need to be making 7,000 crowns a month more, which is 84. That's 84,000 crowns a year more than if the ministry knows that you only pay 10,000 crowns a month. So it's not about just like, yeah, we gave them this document, all good, but the document you give them might influence other things you might not even be aware of. So that's why it's so difficult to take over someone else's cases, because we don't know anything basically about what happened before. But if you make copies of everything, if you make copies all the documents you submitted, if you make copies everything you received from the ministry, that will definitely help us a lot to evaluate your case and see what can be done. Yeah, and one more thing probably depends on the timing and what situations you are in and all that. But we've just had a case recently where this happened, or like a person contacted us saying that they were ghosted, and the visa person still has the originals of their marriage certificate and some other documents supposedly being translated. But if you never hear from the people again, the best thing you can do is try to get these documents again. So if it's a marriage certificate, apply for a new one. Apply for a copy, start sorting it out immediately. Because that will take time to get done. Of course, if the person like starts replying again and you get the documents back, all that, that's perfect. But if not, then getting a new marriage certificate, getting it apostilled, that might take getting it shipped here, because that must be done in the country of origin of the document. So this can take a couple of weeks. And if the ministry sends you a letter and say you only have 10 days to deliver these documents, that's definitely not good. So you should definitely start working on getting the documents you've lost, most likely, and getting them again. Another thing should be communicating with the ministry clearly about this. Just send them letters saying, hey, guys, this happened. Please, this is my new... Again, this is something the new visa people should be doing for you. but kind of letting the ministry know is one of the first steps. Like, hey, this happened, this company is taking over my case, please direct all the communications to them. Because again, if, as I mentioned, if you still have the power of attorney for the previous visa people you used, and the ministry sends them a letter saying that you have 10 days to deliver a new proof of accommodation, and you never received the letter from that person, you miss the deadline, your visa will be denied, and that's probably not where you want to end. So definitely giving a new power of attorney to someone, letting the ministry know about the situation, explaining it, and then working out the solution. Let's see if I forgot something. Probably not. Yeah, I think this is it. So I will go through the questions. Usually questions are not really connected to the topic, so I will just choose the ones that are, because this is not an open live stream where I will be answering questions of any type, but something related to this topic. And then if I forgot about something, if you have some additional questions about the situation, comment or get in touch, and I'll be happy to answer. So this question from Pariar Bibek is about getting an appointment. I want to start business in the Czech Republic. That's not about this topic either. But if you want to contact us directly, just go to movetoprague.com, or if you scroll to some of my older videos, or if you go to the bio here on YouTube, then there is a form you can fill in and we'll get back to you. This is about applying, appointment date, invitation from Sweden for me, branch in the Czech Republic, I want to start, agencies for finding jobs, student accommodation, job cleaner. Yeah, so no questions about this topic. So guys, I will do another open live stream where you can ask questions and I'll be answering them live some other time. Today was about this topic. It's been already half an hour almost. So I'm finishing the live stream. Thank you very much for joining, and see you again next Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Bye bye guys. Good night.